Well, let's bring back in our panel, Denise Grace Gitson, Republican strategist and former aide to George W. Bush, and David Carlucci, Democratic strategist and former New York State Senator. David, can I start with you? I mean, is this any way to run a country, supposedly, you know, the most important superpower in the world you've had? Is this the 15th government shutdown since 1981? It's extraordinary.
Yeah, just like we heard your guest on before talking about how there needs to be some revitalization, some reform in terms of how this process moves forward. But this is what happens when you put politics above policy. And the problem here is that Democrats and many have lost faith in our president to do a handshake deal. The trust is gone, and this is a ramification of that. All the Democrats are trying to do is make sure that Americans' health care premiums don't skyrocket. They are projected, without these subsidies, to rise over 100% for the average American. And that means millions of Americans will lose their health care coverage. We've heard this false narrative that somehow Democrats are pushing to get illegal or undocumented immigrants onto health care rolls. And that's just not the case. It's actually illegal. In 1996, Congress passed the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996, and that bars undocumented people from receiving health care coverage and other federally funded programs. So that's a false narrative. Okay. And so the fact that they won't come to the table and negotiate is the number one problem. Negotiate the deal, save health care for Americans, reopen the government, and you know who still gets paid during this? Members of Congress still get paid.
David, let's just put that very quickly to Denise. We've only got a minute left. Denise, denying health care potentially to millions of Americans.
It's such a false argument. This CR ends on November 21st. Subsidies for Obamacare end on December 31st. This has nothing to do with the healthcare issue at all, because nothing you do right now would impact what happens to the cost of healthcare. So Democrats are simply asking for $1.5 trillion in additional taxpayer dollars to fund what? It certainly isn't the main issue that they're talking about, or we could all be honest and say the timelines don't even match up. You know what I think is so interesting is the prior speaker that you had on reminds me so much of a bygone era when we had people who were just fair and honest talking about what things ought to be. And I believe Dave Carlucci, I believe all of us could probably sit in a room and do a much better job of striking a bipartisan agreement that says, let's restore faith in our democracy by abiding with the rules, the parliamentarian rules. This is a continuing.
Well, maybe we can get. We're running out of time, but Denise, maybe we can get you and David into the room. That might help move things along a bit. But thank you both so much for those points. Do stay with us. To our panelists, you're watching The Context USA right here on BBC News.